Why was I the baby chosen for adoption? Why am I still alive, and why are so many other people dead? I had always been told that my father was a government soldier who had saved me after my mother was killed by a rocket attack. But with no actual proof, I realised anything was possible. We decided that a national TV advert was a useful way to start. It feels very strange to see about 6 inches of me around. It's a baby.
ជំរាបសួរលោកស្រីប្រិមិត្តជាទីគោរពរាប់អានខ្ញុំបាទឆាលសុងបានវិលត្រឡប់មកជួបនឹងលោកស្រីសារជាថ្មីតាមរយៈបទកម្មវិធីជួបជាមួយនឹងឆាលសុងក្នុងទិវានេះខ្ញុំមានកិត្តិយសធ្វើបទសម្ភាសន៍ជាមួយនឹងអ្នកស្រី Leith Kruger ដែលជាស្ថាបនិកអង្គការ Reconnecting Cambodia សហស្ថាបនិកអង្គការ DNACambodia ហើយក៏ជាអ្នកជួយឧបត្ថម្ភដល់អង្គការសប្បុរសធម៌ដើម្បីគ្រួសារខ្មែរក៏ដូចជាតារានៅក្នុងខ្សែភាពយន្តឯកសារមួយដែលមានចំណងជើងថាដំណើរកំសាន្តជាមួយកូនស្រីខ្ញុំដែលនឹងចាក់បញ្ចាំងនៅលើផ្ទាំងសម្ពុតសនៅឯរោងកុនអតិរទីក្រុងឡង់ប៊ីចថ្ងៃសៅរ៍ទី14ខាងមុខនេះដូច្នេះខ្ញុំបាទសូមគោរពអញ្ជើញលោកស្រីតាមដានសម្ដាប់នៅតាមបទសម្ភាសន៍នេះដូចតទៅជំរាបសួរ Leith
ជំរាបសួរ Prue
សុខសប្បាយទេ Leith how are you
សុខសប្បាយ thank you very much
all right Leith it is a great honor for me to have an interview with you actually you and I never met and I think when people meet with each other through a third person, I mean, it means something. I strongly believe that it meant to be for me to meeting you. And tonight, it would be the night that not only myself that will learn a whole lot about you, but the audience themselves will know who you really are. Now, we know a little bit about who you are, but we really don't know in depth. So my first question to you, លោកស្រីប្រិមិត្តបាទលោកស្រីបានដឹងហើយយើងមិនដែលបានស្គាល់ថាតើអ្នកស្រី Leith Kruger ជាអ្នកណាទេក៏ប៉ុន្តែអ្នកស្រី Leith Kruger គាត់ជាកុមារកំព្រាមួយរូបដែលត្រូវបាទជួយបាទបីបាច់ថែរក្សាដោយគ្រួសារចម្លែកបាទនៅអញ្ចឹងសំណួរទី1គឺចង់ដឹងថាតើគាត់នៅមានការចងចាំអ្វីខ្លះទេនៅដំណើរជីវិតរបស់គាត់ So Leith do you happen to remember how baby Leith ended up in the UK
I'm actually very lucky because I was a baby when I left the UK I was 1 year old and all I know from the story I came out of the country with is that my parents were probably dead and I was being adopted in the UK. So I was evacuated and through research I've done since to try and retrace my steps and thank the people that got me out of the country.
Did you happen to remember what year that was when you left Cambodia?
I was very lucky. It was weeks or days before the fall of Phnom Penh. So I was one of the very lucky last few to get out.
Speaking of lucky, I am sure that you are not the only one that being adopted. There are lots of Cambodian children that being adopted throughout the world. So looking back, what is it like for you to being adopted by a complete stranger?
It's all I've known, and I happened to end up in the most loving family. I was blessed with that, and I feel the whole life I've been lucky in that sense. But I ended up with a really loving English family, had a very good life, very privileged life. I have, since I've been an adult, been more interested in searching for my roots and understanding what Cambodian means. And actually, I made a film back in 2001 trying to understand. I remember opening the film saying, you know, I want to understand what the Cambodian blood in my veins means, because I grew up in the UK and in predominantly white neighborhood and boarding school, and had a, you know, again, an amazing life, but I didn't know what Cambodia was.
Yeah. But an interview tonight is nothing more than about the story that you share through your films, and there's an organization that you get involved. We're going to get into that. So I did review your films at least 2 times. There's something about your adopted mothers, and that is Mrs. Prue. I hope I say her name right. Now, her smile, her sincerity, I mean, look through that, throughout the film, she seemed to be very, very sincere, loving, kind lady. Would you like to share with us a little bit about who is Miss Prue?
Prue, yes. No, my adoptive mother, Prue Leith, is an amazing woman, and sadly my father passed away about 20 years ago, but they took a gamble, as anyone would do, by adopting a child. I am actually the mother of 2 adopted children as well. But because I had such a wonderful home life and love and all that, from the very beginning, I had that support. I felt I could go and search for my parents from a very young age. I always knew that's what I wanted to do, and at 14 years old, I was definitely going to do that. Went into the film business, wanting to make a documentary about that. But I remember when she said to me, just before I went that first time in 2001, she said, Lida, if you find your birth parents, I'll be so happy for you. And if you never come back because you find them, I'll be happy and privileged to have known you for 27 years.
You mentioned that you have made the first documentary film titled Belonging back in 2001, prior to starring with your adopted mother in Journey with My Daughter. Would you like to share with us a little bit what motivates you to do that first?
I guess because I was the only Cambodian that I knew, I didn't meet any until I was about 19, that I wanted to share. Everyone would say, where are you from? And I'd say, well, you know, London. And they said, no, where are you really from? I think all adoptees get that. But I was interested in Cambodia, and the only history we had was, you know, beautiful Angkor Wat heritage, and then the genocide. And I really wanted to explore that, and I wanted to understand that, because it was a good kind of party breaker, icebreaker. But I didn't actually understand what I was saying. I just stood out for those reasons, and I wanted to explore that and understand where I was from and share that with other adoptees and my friends, who all of us together had no idea what Cambodia was or where it was.
So you're pretty much spending most of your life with Prue?
Yes.
And her family?
Yes.
All right. So according to your current film, you have been living with Miss Prue, which is a great life. Within that film, I can tell, and a lot of people can see that, because it's a luxury life, like it or not. Now, having said that, while other adopted children who may have left probably the story as is, you know, when they got to living good lives and all that, forget about the past and all of that. So what inspired you to go back to Cambodia and really want to look for your loved one?
The only way I can explain it, as you say, I've had a wonderful life with my family, still do. But imagine not knowing who you are growing up and not knowing where you came from. It's kind of fundamental. And although I have dealt with it in many ways, I've explored my cultural identity through film and through other creative projects, it never goes away. And especially when I started having children, when I made the first film, I was 27. then I spent a good sort of 10 years getting to know Cambodians in the UK and trying to, picking and choosing the bit of the culture I wanted. And also I had this wonderful mentor, Lady Raveen Carrot-Coxon, and I was a trustee of her charity, the Nhin Carrot Foundation for Cambodia. So I had that connection to Cambodia. But then when I started wanting to have children of my own, and they're adopted, as I mentioned earlier, I was having to fill in boxes about my past, and they were empty. I didn't know. It was like dead, don't know, dead. And I realized that I had to go and try again and see if I could fill in some of those gaps for them, for my children, because they would want to know that side of the story. And, I think I was ready. It's a massive journey, as you can probably imagine. And also, I think, and I'd be interested to see what you think, I can't see my life without the lens of the Khmer Rouge and the genocide and being a survivor. And I would like to, that's something I'm constantly exploring and trying to understand, like I'm sure all Cambodians are. So, but it's wonderful to be here in Long Beach because there's a huge amount of Cambodians here.
Well, you are correct. You left a few weeks or days before the falling of Cambodia. There are millions of Khmer people that have gone through. I've gone through the genocide, and I lost my mom lost a lot of her side of the family. I lost my oldest brother, of whom I don't even know whether he died or he still lived. All that we know, as smart as he is, he would have come home. That's what at least stick in our mind. But until this day, nobody in the family really know. Besides just hearing from other people say, oh, it's him, I know it's him, that they beat him to death, during this time when they arrested him and all of that stuff. But I knew all about the genocide because I've gone through that. And there are many people that have gone through. The sad part are those who've gone, your parents that are gone, who was not able to be here to share their story. But those who are lucky enough to be here to share the story, sometimes it is difficult, particularly to share the story with our young generation. I was a bit shocked when I share my story with my kids. My kids wouldn't even believe. Didn't even believe. I saw the documentary films. There was about the Holocaust, the Jewish, and there's this elderly man. There's nothing but the skeleton. And I point to the television and say, hey kid, that's daddy, that's daddy. And they would say, no way, I don't believe that. But it was true. And it's not just me. Everybody gone through the same. Anyway, I don't know how we're gone through that, but I think that that it is good for us to at least talk about it. For me, the really good part of that is if we want the genocide to stop, somebody have to do something about it. And that has to begin with talk about it. I think we have to continue to talk about it, to let our young generation know about it, because otherwise they have no idea. Until this day,
True.
Majority don't believe in that. It's sad that even the parents that have gone through, and they still have no idea about that at all. So now, what year did you go to Cambodia with your adopted mom?
2020. Just before the pandemic. I was filming January 2020.
Wow. Okay, on your way to Cambodia with your adopted mother, how did you feel when you stepped foot in the country that you don't even know much about?
It was really special to go there with my mother because I had obviously been spending the last 20 years trying to explore my own identity and my Cambodian roots, whereas my mother was always supportive, but never really went further than, oh, darling, that's wonderful. So part of the reason of taking her to Cambodia was for her to really see me as a Cambodian, because it was that recognition that was my culture. The whole idea about being colorblind. My mother was never colorblind, but I just felt that until she was there seeing me or seeing little children like the same age I would have been when I left, she wouldn't really connect. And I wanted her to be able to do that, or give her the chance to do that. And of course, the funny story is that she said, this is not going to be, I'm sure it'll be fine, I'm not going to be emotional. She cried every single day. Both of us did, every single day. It was such an emotional journey for us both. And I couldn't have asked for more in that sense.
Well, there's a whole lot of story about Leith Kruger. So when we come back, we're going to continue with our interview with her. Don't go away. Thank you.
That must be a really early picture of me.
Oh dear, rather unhappy.
I was not a pretty baby.
Oh, you were. You absolutely were a pretty baby.
I don't think I've ever asked you this, but what was the moment? Can you remember the exact moment that I sort of came into your life?
You had arrived and you were stuffing your face. Your little cheeks had sausages inside like this. And so while your mouth was open, I hooked out the lumps of sausages and I carted you up to bed. You went to sleep and you wouldn't let go of the sausage and the fish finger. So I put you to bed with the sausage and a fish finger.
Lolok Sarai Premachiti Kropop An, Bong Pon Bam, Luhai. Some of you Sarai Pong Dai Sa, Tainet Sarai Leith Kruger. Tvay to bate got ye gon Khmer men, but got Pantai got Mam Jack Jang P. Prote Cambodia, Tang P. got no way Koma. Bad perhaps ye third time much nam, Bakom Dung. Na Duchne Doi Sa, they got Mam to Nabi Batai Jimuin. Manu ke hạ thai chầm like ba chầm like chầm cuộc cọt chầm đó hãy chi chôn chiết ong lễ đôi chân này cọt ăn chết bị sạc Khmer đại chả thì bọn phồn chẳng nơi khung nè bắt sâm phi khung tivi này cứ dương ọt miền cả chớ đó cái làm pi cả này dây chia phi sạc ong lễ. Leith, I just explained to the audience that because when you were being adopted way back when you were very, very young. And of course, being with a complete stranger and you're not speaking much of the Cambodian, that doesn't mean that you lose your root. But so I think the interview tonight is going to be all in English. Appreciate that. So I want to tie up with that story. So the idea of going back to look for your parents, has Miss Prue has any part in this at all? Or it's completely your idea?
It's always been my idea from the very start, but it's changed over time. And I think the second time I went, it was almost like an extra support. I didn't, to be honest, I didn't think we'd find anything. I'd sort of given up hope. I'm sort of giving away a spoiler here, aren't I? But I was more, it was more of the cultural understanding and introducing my mother to my homeland and also seeing it through her eyes. I always knew that there was going to be an extra dynamic there, but it was a really wonderful thing that she had that time to come with me because she, she knows how obsessed I've been with it, gently obsessed, shall I say.
So the trip in that documentary film, the journey with my daughter, it was not the first time that you've been to Cambodia.
No, I had been before, and because of the charity, the Ninh Carrot Foundation for Cambodia and Lady Ravine, I had been there quite a few times, but always working for that charity. So this was the second trip looking for my roots, I suppose, concentrated and focused on that. Again, going back to my adopted children before it's too late, because there's a slight urgency. I'm getting older. So is my parents' generation.
I don't know about other, but for me, when I watch the film, I always trying to look for a certain area, and how I can really capture the mindset when you meet people, because on your journey, when you go there, your intent is to look for somebody. So actually, when you both sat on that balcony with Jimmy in Phnom Penh, what gone through your mind to hear what he said about the survival of those orphanage, including yourself, way back then?
It was very moving what Jimmy said, because he had flown those children out 2 days before the fall, and felt terribly guilty about taking them out of the country, away from their mothers who were still alive, some of them. And he knew that they were all going to die, but he still felt terribly guilty. And he's probably 75 now or something. And he said, meeting me and me being able to say to him, you did the best thing. Because as you say, these children would have died. Same for my story. If I hadn't left, I would have died. And then I wouldn't be able to be doing what I'm doing now, which is I want to give back some way. And that's why I'm trying to educate my friends, my country, about Cambodia and what happened.
Sometimes when you speak the truth, although the people want the truth, but it's very difficult for them to take it. But what he said is the fact. The fact is, if he did not take those children out, chance of those children die would be almost 100%. Because as you know, at least 2 million were gone. Some have gone because of malnutrition. Some have gone because of the oppression, of the execution, etc., and all of that. So for him to be able to at least save those lives and still here to share the story, I think it's quite extraordinary, for all of us. I think the children and the parents, even the dead one, probably, if they could hear, they probably thank Jimmy,
Absolutely.
his friends, for doing all of that for all the orphanage at the time. So you both did actually gone to a different location in Cambodia in search of your biological mother. How do you end up meeting with the 77-year-old Lok Ye Sot, and how is the meeting that is inspired you to start the DNA campaign? Tell us about that.
Through traditional research, and this is thanks to our fixer, who is now the director of the Cambodian charity, he managed to go through the archives and find a woman, Mrs. Sot, 77-year-old, who had been at Takamau Hospital, where I had been at some point, where my exit papers had been signed by someone I actually found in my first documentary trip.
So actually you went back to the central, or the center where they kept all of these files?
Well, no. I worked out that Takamau Hospital, I had been there.
The hospital.
The hospital. And through archives, local archives in Takamau, he had found that, anyway, there was this, that was it, the archivist's auntie, or something like that, relative, had lost someone, and then we met her, and she had lost a baby, I had lost a mother. So we thought that we might be related. It was a chance in a million, but at the same time we could actually locate each other at the same time. And sadly, we weren't related, but DNA, this is when DNA galloped in as a hero, because without DNA, we'd never have found out. So, and DNA doesn't lie in that sense. So it was deeply, deeply sad. I remember bawling my eyes out when I had to tell her that we weren't related, but I felt that it was the only thing I could do is to help her look for her daughter. And that's how it all started, the DNA charity, because you have to be on every database and chance to find her daughter. She would be happy with that. So I took her DNA, we put her on every single database. We're still trying to find her. I then saw her at Christmas and was able to, and her eldest son was there, and he said to me, oh, she went to France. So I'm hoping I can find her in France, but I've been looking in Cambodian and American sort of contacts through, and I don't know anyone in France. I don't know any Cambodians in France.
Without the DNA,
yes.
When you met that family, including that Yesat, were you doubted, or you feel like this is it? I hope that she's my mother, or is this like what?
Oh, I never thought we'd get this far. And when my mother and I were traveling in the van to go to meet her for the first time, we gripping each other's hands because we so wanted it to be true. But I mean, I don't know what the possibilities what the actual possibilities would have been, but we really, really wanted it to happen. For her, for me. She had been told that her daughter had died at the time, and then discovered later that her daughter had actually been sent overseas to be adopted without her permission.
You know, when the people is going to watch that film, but I watched the film, it's not just that, the hope that you both, or you, Miss Prue, really want to say that that's it, that is your mother. But I think watching through that film, particularly when they focus on that part of your whole, I thought to myself that Miss Prue really think about losing you as well at that time, don't you think?
Yes.
Yes, I can see that. I see, so that, God, now what?
Yes.
Right? Share us that moment. What's the feelings like?
I was very torn because, you know, obviously I felt protective over my mother, because this adoptive mother, Prue, because obviously if Mrs. Sott was going to be my mother, then suddenly I would, even though it doesn't make sense, my loyalties would have felt split, or my emotions felt split.
Yeah.
I want to look after both mothers, and also trying to understand that, oh my goodness, I've just found my mother. But I have a mother, or I don't need a mother, but she's still my mother. So it was really all over the place. But I always feel do it and then deal with the emotions later. That's kind of my general...
Well, I got to ask you this question. In the hotel room with your mother, I saw the phone was on the bed. Both of you were waiting for that phone to ring. Tell us about that moment when you pick up the phone and somebody on the other side tell you it is not matching.
It was almost like time slowing down, also just waiting endlessly. It was awful. It was gut-wrenching. I think I kind of knew. Well, it's not that I knew, but I didn't think it could possibly be true. Which I shouldn't have thought that, because then you manifest it. But at the same time, I was absolutely devastated when I discovered that. I just almost speechless. It was just so sad. But I think it was my sadness. It was her sadness. It's the sadness of the country. Sad. I mean, why are we here? Why are we doing this? You know, it all sort of came crashing down. It's like, this shouldn't be happening, but it's happening.
When you are going back, you went back, meet with her, tell her that unfortunately it's not matching. I mean, it's, I don't know How are you feeling about that? Share that moment when you look Miss Sut in the eye and tell that, because in your eyes, people can see that you really didn't want to tell her that.
I'm getting all emotional thinking about it now. I just felt so sad for her. So sad. It was this sadness I can't really explain. I think she was more prepared for it than me, funny enough. I think because of Buddhism or because of she'd made her peace with it already, I think, in terms of losing her daughter. So, and you know, I don't know how long she had, I can't remember now, how long she had in time to prepare for potentially me being her long-lost daughter. But I just felt so desperately sad for her that, and that was that moment, is that I'm going to do everything I can to help you find your daughter. Son Lee, I think.
From that sad moment to the positive story, all in all, after DNA, half the family of Miss Sut were able to reconnect with anybody at all?
Not yet. So her DNA is on everything, but because there's so little Khmer DNA across the databases, the matches are very distant, so third cousins, fourth cousins, beyond.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, for me, having never had any family, a third cousin is amazing.
Right.
And my third cousins are here in Long Beach.
Yeah.
And I'm going to meet them for the first time. But for Mrs. Sot, there's no one close to. But my next mission is to get into French Cambodian communities.
Well, when we come back, we're going to get into them. Okay. We got to get into the DNA part because, according to you, it's complex. Complicity is there, and we're going to talk more about that. លោកលោកស្រីប្រិមិត្តជាទីគោរពរាប់អានសូមគុំជឿចំណាដែលបទសម្ភាសន៍របស់យើងនៅមានបន្តវគ្គទី3ទៀតបាទសូមអរគុណ
But that story, I mean, I was starving.
You were starving
when I first arrived.
In 1975, my restaurant and catering business was booming. And I'd just set up Leith School of Food and Wine in London. Not bad for 35. I was blissfully unaware that the baby I would come to adopt was being airlifted out of Cambodia days before Pol Pot and his genocidal regime took power. 5 months later, she was with us in England, and we were a family.
លោកលោកស្រីប្រិមិត្តជាទីគោរពរាប់អានបទសម្ភាសន៍របស់ខ្ញុំជាមួយនឹងអ្នកស្រី Leith Kruger បានឈានមកដល់វគ្គបញ្ចប់បាទនៅមានប្រធានបទច្រើនបាទដែលនឹងអាចបំភ្លឺនៅអ្វីទៅដែលហៅថា DNA បាទ DNA ហើយថាតើបងប្អូនអាចចូលរួមរបៀបណាអីយ៉ាងណាតើយើងត្រូវចំណាយប្រាក់ឬមួយក៏យើងត្រូវបានទទួលបាទណែឧបករណ៍ដើម្បីយកមកធ្វើតេស្តនោះដោយមិនបាច់ទិញបាននោះដូច្នេះសូមបងប្អូនតាមដានសម្ដាប់បន្តនៅតាមការធ្វើបទសម្ភាសន៍នេះដូចតទៅបាទ Okay, now before we go to the DNA part, through the film when you went to the Cambodia, the journey with my daughter, that I would assume your second, right? Your second. So all of that, number one, have you planned to go back? Or what have you learned from the trip you took to Cambodia with your adopted mother?
I've actually been a couple of times. So I think for me it was very special to have that time with my mother. Her experience Cambodia, a bit like me, the first time when I'd gone, I think the first time I went was in 1994. But to be able to see that, it's such a different culture and a pace of life and smells and all that beautiful I love the smells of Cambodia. I really miss it, but it's a very different experience, I suppose, to London or Oxfordshire or the English Cotswolds. So it was a very important trip for us, bonding as a mother and daughter. Even though we were looking for my we're looking for my birth mother. It was a very special, important trip. That it was just us, and no, I didn't bring my family. She didn't bring her husband.
And was it the first time that Miss Prue were there with you at the time?
She had been once before with me, but we just did Angkor Wat. It was a very short, contained holiday. My father had just passed away, so it was a kind of, and it was his idea to adopt, actually. So it was a kind of homage to him. Right. But we didn't do anything like that.
All right. Okay. Now, let's go to the DNA part. Can you share with us how the DNA Cambodia was found and who else involved in the process with you? And what's the link between the DNA Cambodia and Reconnecting Cambodia?
DNA Cambodia came about after I met Mrs. Sot and I vowed to help her find her daughter. And I had found through the research 2 other women, wonderful women who've adopted Cambodian children. One of them's in San Francisco, Kari, and the other one, Meta, is in the Netherlands. None of us have met. This was during COVID. And we had the same vision. We wanted to help Cambodians find relatives through DNA, and we were each doing it in our own way. Right. So we thought we'd come together. Accelerated on by the fact that I had written to the CEO of MyHeritage to say that what I was doing and would he be interested in sponsoring us or partnering with us, and having no idea he would come back in 2 hours saying, I would love to, I would be honored to help you out and support you. And I think I went to him originally because they were running something called DNA Quest, and it was trying to help adoptees all around the world. They're Israeli as well, so they have the Holocaust heritage as well. So I think there was a really special connection with them.
Well, I think it's much more than just special. Can you imagine? You meet with somebody that you don't even know, and all of a sudden you come together and you form something, and for one reason, and that is to reunite somebody that has been lost or missing, during the war and so forth, and all of that now. In your statement, DNA can be complicated. And the larger the Khmer DNA pool, you stated, the greater the chance the relative match for the family, for they are looking for. Can you explain us a little bit how the complexity it is, and is it required to have a large pool before you can find out who's and what not?
So Reconnecting Cambodia is the London, UK office of the DNA Cambodia. We have the Cambodian operations under Khmer Family Charity Organisation. So there are 3 of us, and we're the only partnership dedicated to reuniting families through DNA. DNA itself is complicated in the sense that it matches you. You get an ethnicity estimate if you take a DNA test. You get a DNA profile, and it matches you in closest relation order of other people that have already taken a test. The accuracy of these tests depends on how many Cambodians, in our sense, what we're trying to do is build the Khmer database and the pool over the international databases, because then you will get a higher match. Because at the moment I've only found third cousins and above. We have actually found an auntie and a nephew, which is amazing. And we found a few other close matches.
I'm going to ask you about that.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you about that. So let's just say that you have all of that. You have all the pool, you have all the materials, and go to what exactly the percentage, the people that don't even know about the DNA. Is that a guarantee things, or is it the possibility?
There is no guarantee that there's no guarantee we can reunite you with your family if you join our project. What we can do is, because of our accounts with the different databases, you have that, we give you access to millions of people you could be matched with. But our goal is really to test people in Cambodia. I mean, as many Cambodians as possible, and Cambodia is the biggest pool. So our drive really is to give free DNA tests in Cambodia where people cannot afford it at all. But
So Reconnecting Cambodia, that's a London base.
Yes.
Okay. The DNA and the Khmer family are the one, and the mission is for the Cambodia. So it's a separate entity?
No, we're all under one banner.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We're all under one banner.
Right.
I was part of all of it being set up. We're sort of creating this DNA family. It's quite complicated because, as you get bigger, do you rebrand? Do you keep the same? Anyway, but we are a triumvirate, I suppose.
So how many years already that DNA Cambodia start in Cambodia?
That started in 2020.
2020, just the
Right
same
at the
time,
end, yes.
right after that you went to visit?
At the end of 2020, we just registered in the
right
Netherlands.
away?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So since then, how many Cambodian families took the test, and how many Cambodian or Khmer family in Cambodia as well as outside Cambodia that Reconnecting Cambodia or DNA Cambodia is able to reunite them with the family through that DNA?
We have tested about 150, I would say, both internationally and in Cambodia. Out of those tests, recent tests, because actually our database was an expansion of DNA Cambodia's database, or the lady that founded it. But out of those 150, we have a couple of really close matches. One is an auntie in Cambodia who had lost contact with her siblings and found a nephew who ended up in France. So that's exactly, that is a massive success story. Also, we found another cousin, a friend of mine in England took a test, and she realized when the test came back that she had a first cousin, and it must be the daughter of her lost auntie who passed away. So it goes on, and then I had an amazing match with a friend I've been together with for 10 years, a friend I've been known for 10 years.
You said earlier that the DNA Cambodia found in 2020. That is the period of 4 years, and yet you only have 100 family that taking the test. 4 years and 100, the number doesn't add up. Tell us the reason why.
The reason why is sadly simply due to resources, human resources. I started with 3, myself included. We all worked full-time. I had a young family. I have a full-time job as I run a television company. And we all have our lives, and it's just, it's trying to fundraise, and it's just so hard. And we have, the madness is that My Heritage have given us this huge stockpile of free DNA tests, and we're trying to reach out to people. So thank you for this opportunity to talk about what we're doing, because basically we need to get the word out there that we exist, but also have DNA tests to give to people.
I want to talk about that because the time, your own time that you put in an effort, is there any other obstacle that you challenge with, such as when it comes to DNA testing, is this something that the Khmer people are craving for, or is this something like, no, I don't want to do it?
Good question. And it's a mixed response. Most people say, oh my goodness, this is such an amazing thing. Very few people say, and it's mainly for political reasons, I think,
Really?
Which I totally understand, because they're nervous about being traced because of the family history and the country's history. But most people are on board. But the challenges in Cambodia, not so much outside of Cambodia, because it's commercial DNA testing has been around for a while now.
Yes.
But in Cambodia, terrified. The elder generations don't, is it a blood test? They just don't know what it is. So one of our big pushes will also be teaching and educating about what DNA is. It's literally a saliva cheek swab. Yes. We send it off, we manage it. And
well, I think this is much more than just, swapping saliva and all of that. I think I don't know about all of this here, but perhaps I at least have some experience dealing with the Khmer, my own Khmer people, knowing how to go about and tell them exactly what they want to hear. So in this particular case, as much you want them to take a test, it's just the same other things. If you don't tell them the right click, they probably won't be able to really want to have anything to do with that, regardless of how much you want to give it to them. So giving the information is very important, right information. I hope that the whoever runs the organization can persuade the Cambodian, because for me, I think it is important for all of us to find out, because like it or not, there are almost 2 million people. Some lost of knowing that they're dead, but there are so many that you don't know where they're about. So there's always something good out of this. So I would hope that this interview would help in some way for at least the folks over there and the folks over here, in some way, from word of mouth, really kind of spread it around and all of that. So earlier you said because of the DNA that really connect you with your cousin and all of that stuff. So share with us that story. How the Reconnecting Cambodian is able to connect you to your third cousin, living not in London, but here in the U.S.
And one in Cambodia, yes.
One in Cambodia?
Yes. No, it was the same time I took the test with Mrs. Sott. And I was related, we both take an ancestry test. There are 4 main DNA companies. So I was connected on Ancestry, and in the documentary I phone her up and say, "Hi, you're my third cousin."
Just like that?
Yes, and she was amazing. She was amazing, and I'm going to meet her later today, or tomorrow. But and then I met her sister who'd already done a test, and we sort of did that. So once you know you're related, then it's a sort of detective story, which is quite exciting. So we're trying to work out which side of the family I was, her mother's side or her father's side. We decided it was the father's side, and through that inkling...
When you talk about we decide...
Yes. Sorry.
Technically, the DNA decide for you, or you decide?
Sorry, I meant as in the Tari, her name is, my cousin and I... discussing the possibilities of which side of the family it was going to be. So we wanted to test her father, but we ended up testing her second uncle, or uncle once removed, or something like that. I think her father's second cousin, and then found I was related to another Cambodian, and I was related to them.
For the audience, because most of them are fairly new to this DNA, I'm pretty sure of that. So when you take the DNA test in order to reconnect, does that mean both sides have to take DNA test, or is it just you take the DNA test and then you'll be able to find somebody on the other end?
So how it works, if you want to find someone, you take a test, we get you onto the other databases, because your results can be transferred to other databases, and if you're searching for someone, you want to be on all of the databases, and we can help you with that. If someone else is looking for someone, anyway, you're put into the database, and if you're looking for your auntie and your auntie has taken a test, you will be found immediately. But you're waiting for those people you're looking for to also take a test. But in the meantime, other people that are related to you are also put into the database,
Yeah.
which means you can get closer and closer.
So in this case, you would encourage
Yes.
other people to take
Absolutely.
a test as well. Okay, now there are several DNA tests here in the US. You know that, and I know that, right? So where the people can get the DNA test done, is there a difference between their test and your test?
There's no difference in the actual test itself, but what the difference is, it's in a different database. So Europe is known, MyHeritage normally covers Europe. I think Family Tree DNA is known for the Chinese, and the Americans is Ancestry and 23andMe. What we're trying to do is to consolidate the Cambodians within those databases through our project.
Interesting. Yeah. Now, can a person take another DNA test if he or she already take one in the past?
You can take another test, but what the easiest thing might be to do is you can transfer your DNA result into MyHeritage, but you can't, there are Ancestry and 23andMe, you have to take their test. You can't, I can't take a MyHeritage test and put it into the Ancestry database.
Is there a way that one can go back and trace which company that they take a test with? For example, let's just say I took a test 3 years ago. Today I've completely forgot about that. How am I going to go back and trace where I would take the DNA?
I think that would be quite difficult, but you could email them and ask, did I take a test, and give them the date and your name, because your name will be in that thing.
Right.
Or you just take another test from us.
So if the people want to learn more about the DNA test, is there a link, a website where they can go in and just learn more about the Reconnecting Cambodia?
Absolutely. There's a website. It's just reconnectingcambodia.org. I'm looking at the camera. And all your questions can be answered there. And if not, just get in contact and we'll try and answer as best as possible.
And if the people want to take the DNA test, do they have to purchase the test kits, or do you give away free?
We are giving them away free. You just have to apply. So most of the contact is on the website.
Okay.
And there's a Google form you fill out, and it says, I've done one before, or I want a test, or blah, blah, blah. Okay. Anyway, we then get back to you and provide you with a test and all that.
Now, because that you have to go online, it's not easy, because you're going to have to fill up the whole 9 yards. Is a third person be able to assist someone that is not familiarized with the online system?
Do you mean to apply?
To help them apply for it.
I would just get, if we're talking about the older generation, maybe get their children to do it. There's a telephone number, I think, also on the site, or an email. There's email contact as well, rather than filling in the form. There are lots of ways to get in touch.
Okay.
So please don't be put off by forms.
All right. So we'll leave all that information and all of that. Briefly, what is the Khmer Family Charity Organization, and what is the purpose of that organization?
That was set up by us, Cambodia, DNACambodia, and now Reconnecting Cambodia, to run our Cambodian operations. So it's a locally registered charity. Okay. I'm a patron of it, but I'm not legally responsible. I'm not on the paperwork in terms of founding it, but it is our local charity that runs our operations, and it's mainly identifying Cambodians and giving out Cambodians free tests.
All right. So before we close our interview, what would you like the people to know about their journey with My Daughter documentary film?
I would love you to come, please. It's on Saturday, 3:00 at the Arts Theatre in Long Beach, part of the Cambodia Town Film Festival, which I'm very excited to be here for.
You mean this Saturday?
This Saturday.
Okay.
And I will be giving out free DNA tests.
DNA tests?
Yes.
Okay, that's
so please
good.
come along.
All right, lastly, final word. 2 things. Any message for the audience? And if you have to say to Miss Prue, what would that be?
To To my mum, it would be thank you so
That
much.
camera right there, Miss Prue.
Mum, thank you so much. I love you and thank you for your support. And I wish you were here with me, but you're busy working. And then to the audience, I hope I've inspired you with what I've been saying, but what would be wonderful if you could just help me spread the word about what we're doing. And if you have any questions, get in touch via the email on the website. Ask, have a look at the other websites, but we're here and we just have this big vision and we need your help in achieving it. So thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, from being adopted by a stranger to a journey seeking for the biological mother. And from there, the story takes a turn by meeting with an elder, 77-year-old son. And here we are talking about the mission to reconnect and reunite the Cambodian who gone missing during the war, or perhaps before the war. So I hope the message tonight will be able to share with all of you, and you at home will be able to help spreading the DNA test. Help the people, help our own people to find their loved one. I want to find my lost brother. I will start doing that when I meet with Leith shortly after the interview. So in short, the interview tonight is nothing more than encourage you to go out this Saturday at 3 p.m. at the Art Theater in Long Beach. Go watch the film. I watched it at least twice, and I know why. That leader, Kruger, come to the point that she have to do something about the mission. And the mission is all about us. As long as we can put our minds together and helping, starting with not just her. She now begin all of that mission for all of us. Now it is our turn. Do we want to help people to reunite? If the question yes, then let's show up on Saturday and get the test. Get the test. It's simple. It's simple. It's not the blood test. It's just the saliva test and all of that. And I am certain that there are people there to help you. I, for one, will ask her for plenty of the tests so I can share with elders in the community who would want. Until then, I look forward to see you on Saturday. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for watching.
Leith's childhood was not at all Cambodian. We live in the middle of the Cotswolds, we're an English family. And it was a very happy childhood, so I'm not at all sorry about that.
As far as I was concerned, Leith became English. But since she's grown up, she's had an increasing desire to understand her past. And as I get older, I wonder if I did everything I should have as her mother. Maybe it's time for us to lay those ghosts to rest.